welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video, we are going to be talking about some of my favorite summer reads. That way you can get your Kindle library ready for your upcoming summer vacations, or if you just want to get into the summer mood, then this list is for you. So grab a drink and grab a snack, and let's chat about my 10 favorite summer romance books. Okay, first up we have Fragments of Gray by Holly Cast. This is literally a summer romance. So these two characters, they meet in a beach town over the summer and they kind of have like a whirlwind romance together during the summer season. So this is perfect. It does, I will say, it's not the most lighthearted of summer reads. There are some like heavy things that the characters are going through, but I like having emotional depth in my romances. And I feel like when the characters are together, there's still a lot of like wholesome moments, but the spice is also very spicy, okay? Holly Cast is the queen at mixing emotional depth and spice and fun times all into one. So in this one we have Grayson, who's kind of like the bad boy. He's coming to stay with his sister in this new beach town, and that's where Emma lives. And Emma has lived a very sheltered, she's had a very like strict upbringing because of her father. He kind of like feels this instant connection with her. She is friends with his sister that he's staying with, so they, you know, he instantly has a connection with her and he wants to protect her. And he ends up using the summer as a way to help her kind of like have her own adventure because she's been so sheltered before. He's gonna help like bring the fun side of her out. And yeah, I love it. Next is kind of a humorous one, and it's like a little ridiculous, but it's one of my personal favorites, or like guilty pleasures, if you had to call it that. This is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. If you look at reviews of this book, a lot of people have problems with a couple of the scenes, but I love it. I feel like if you're a Tessa Bailey fan, like, you know that she's gonna throw in some scenes that like make you laugh out loud, but also make you like obsessed with it at the same time, even though it's so ridiculous and we shouldn't like it so much. I don't know, that's how I feel anyway. But this one is about a teacher who over the summer she's staying at this like beach house with her brother, and when they go to stay there, it's like an Airbnb kind of situation. And when they show up, they find a dead body in the Airbnb. And the teacher is one of those where she's like obsessed with like true crime podcasts and like serial killer documentaries. So she is kind of like trying to solve the case herself. She ends up kind of butting heads with this like investigator that the family, I believe, that owned the Airbnb hired to like figure out what's going on. So they're kind of butting heads. There's a lot of like sexual chemistry or like tension between them. He kind of writes her off as this like innocent goody two-shoes teacher, but then they find out that they're more compatible than they thought. Yeah, like I said, this is definitely over the top at times, but like in the best way. Plus it's super short. It's a very quick read if you're going on a trip. Like I read this on a plane, for example. I feel like it was, you know, it was great because it makes the time go by really fast when there's like crazy stuff happening in the book that just makes you want to keep turning the pages. I really like it, and it has like a fun like beach town, more like a Cape Cod, like northern East Coast setting. So I thought it was a good way to mix it up. Next we have Do I Know You by Emily Wibberly and Austin Siegmund-Broka. So this is actually written by a married couple, and this book is about a married couple. So in this one, a married couple is going on a trip. I think it's like an anniversary vacation of some kind to this like fancy resort on the beach. And they are having some problems with their marriage. So this is a marriage in trouble romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. I think it's because I love second chance romances, so this is kind of like a twist on a second chance in a way. Kind of in a rut in their marriage, like they're going through a hard time, but I think like the husband's parents buy them this trip or something like that, so that they kind of like have to go because, you know, they don't want to waste the gift that somebody got them. So while they're there, I believe it's the husband, he's sitting at the bar with like this new guy he met. They're just chatting, whatever, and when the wife comes up, they pretend like they don't know each other, like for the other guy's benefit. But then they realize like it kind of like sparked something between them, so they decide like, hey, let's pretend like we don't know each other. Let's pretend like this is the first time we're meeting, and let's see if it kind of like rekindles the spark in the marriage that we've been missing. So this one's a good time. We got the vacation vibes going on, but there's still, again, like emotional angst going on between these two, just because, you know, like they obviously love each other, but they're just kind of like going through a rough patch, and this is their way of trying to get out of it. I feel like especially because this is written by a married couple, you really get that that like accurate perspective of what it's like to be a married couple, and you really get like the male's perspective versus the woman's perspective. And yeah, I just love the way that these two write together, so this is a winner for me. Next we have The Layover by Lacey Walden. This is another quick summer read, and it's kind of like a destination setting. So in this one, the female main character is a flight attendant, and it's kind of like a hate to love situation with a pilot that she has to work with on this particular trip. It's supposed to be like her last trip as a flight attendant, because she is engaged to be married, and once she gets married to this guy, she's basically gonna be like a stay-at-home mom or like stay-at-home wife or whatever. So this is supposed to be like her last hurrah, is this big trip. I can't remember which island it is, but they're going to like a faraway island that's like a huge tropical destination. So she's just like trying to make the most of her last trip as a flight attendant. But then she finds out she gets stuck with this pilot that she hates. She like has this big vendetta against him, which you'll find out when you read it. I don't want to spoil it. There's great banter between the two of them. They unfortunately get stuck at the island, so they have to like stay there longer than they originally planned, you know, forced proximity. It's a good time. It's a good time. This one really took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting anything crazy out of this because it was an author I had never heard of before, but this is a hidden gem for sure. I feel like people don't give this book and this author enough hype, so I really recommend you checking this one out. Next we have Our Scorching Summer by Kelson Denise Stone. I believe this is like two sisters that write together, if I'm not mistaken, and this one is a friends to lovers, and I think the female main character she's like recently out of a relationship, I want to say, and she I think is also like lost her job. Like there's just like a lot of things that have happened, so she just wants to like go away on this trip to kind of like rediscover her passions in life kind of thing. She has this friend, I believe his name's Nico, and they have been like flirting back and forth, but they also have a really good friendship, so they never cross that line. Plus I believe, like, I haven't read the first book in this series. This is technically book 2, but the first book is about, I think, her best friend getting with his brother or something like that. So I think they also don't want to like muddy the waters there, but they obviously get along really well, and she wants to go on this trip. So I guess they find a way for her to go on a trip with him, because I think he's going on a trip for work or something, and he can take a +1. I don't know. The circumstances line up somehow. So they go on this trip together, and I believe it's somewhere in South America, if I'm not mistaken. And this is their romance, and if you love friends to lovers, this is just a fun time. Like I said, it's not like it's like very low stakes. There's a little bit of like tension and angst between them, but it's like really not anything crazy. But the banter is great, friends to lovers, good spicy times, a fun like tropical destination. We love it. It checks all the summer romance boxes. Next is One Hot Italian Summer by Karina Halley. I don't have to say that much about this book. It's set in Italy, age gap, single dad. He's a sculptor, so he does some good things with his hands. Yep. Then another recommendation I have by Karina Halley. This is totally different though. The one I just talked about was contemporary. This one is kind of like a darker, like paranormal romance. So this is A Ship of Bones and Teeth. This is basically like a dark retelling of like Little Mermaid and Parts of the Caribbean. The female main character, who used to be a siren, but she was turned into a human to be with a prince, but it didn't really work out. Her and the prince end up getting kidnapped by these rogue pirates. She's gonna kind of use this as an opportunity to try and see if she can go back to the ocean and go back to being a siren. But she ends up finding some things out about this ship crew that make things a little bit more complicated for her. This is a good way to mix it up, because I feel like a lot of summer romances are usually more lighthearted or like fluffy rom-com vibes, right? Like most of the books I've talked about in this video have been that way. But this gives you like a darker twist as a way to like mix it up a little bit. If you're tired of like the same old summer romances, I think this is a good one because it's set on the water, in the ocean, on a ship. So like you still get that summer setting and the summer vibes of like a mermaid character, you know what I mean? But it's grittier and it's darker, and yeah, Karina Halley is amazing. I love her books, and I love like the wide range that she provides. So this one also works. Another book I recommend if you want something a little bit different than your average romance would be Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this is more like, there are some love stories talked about in this book, but it's technically like a general fiction, I would say. It's about a family who lives in Malibu, and the father of the family, he was like this big, like famous singer back in the day. This is about all of his kids and kind of like their family dynamic, but it's centered around this big party that they're having, and something happened at the party we don't really know. Like some kind of tragedy happens at the party, and this is kind of like giving you the recap of the night leading up to that event, and then also it gives you flashbacks to when like the husband, or when their dad and their mom got together, when they first had the kids, when the kids were growing up, you know, things like that. So I was invested in these characters so much. Like, I wish I could just keep reading about these characters over and over and over and over again, because I want to know like everything about their life, because their life story is something else. It's very entertaining. If you like Daisy Jones and the Six, I think that you'll like this, because there are some character crossover mentions like here or there, nothing crazy. But it gives like a rock star romance vibe, because it does give flashbacks to when the dad and the mom first got together when he was famous. So if you like rock star romance, you'll like that aspect. And then you also have, again, like the sibling dynamics. So think of like a, almost like a found family in a way, but like they're actually family. You know what I mean? But you get like the drama, the secrets that are revealed of things that have happened, and why there's like tension between the family that no one can really explain. And yeah, it's really good. It's definitely a page turner. I think this is great to read on a trip, because it just like keeps you invested, and because of the Malibu setting, it really is like you're reading kind of like a getaway romance that's like another world in a way. So I highly recommend this one if you want something a little bit different than your average romance. Okay, the next one is no plot, just smut. just being real. This is called 3 Ways to Mend a Broken Heart by Trelina Pucci. So this is a MFM romance, and it involves a female main character who just got over a bad breakup, caught her boyfriend of so many years cheating, and they're supposed to go on this trip for, it's like her friends, it's like a bachelorette weekend or something like that. I can't remember. But I think this is connected to another book that Trelina Pucci wrote. So it's like those people who I think are getting married or something, and all their friends are like going on a trip together. I don't know. So even though she booked the hotel room in her name, when she shows up, the boyfriend who cheated on her is already there with the new chick. So she ends up having to stay in the same room as the 2 best friends of the male main character that's getting married from the first book. This is confusing. I promise it'll make sense when you read it. And like I said, the plot doesn't really matter. Anyway, the smut is just really, really good in this book. And they're at, I think it's in Hawaii too. So they're at like this resort in Hawaii, and they're on a vacation. There's no responsibilities. It really is just them, like forced proximity. 2 guys, 1 girl, a lot of sexual tension and chemistry. And I think they do almost like a fake dating kind of thing to make her ex jealous too. So there's that aspect of it. And yeah, it's just really entertaining. There are good like laugh out loud moments with the banter, but it really is just like a spicy good time. And sometimes that's just all you want. And last but most certainly not least, this is my favorite if you want like a bingeable series. So if you're like a fast reader and maybe you have like the whole summer off that you want to start reading again instead of just like a quick read, this is a series of like 8 books-ish, give or take, don't quote me. This is the Palm South University series by Candy Steiner. This is a college romance series, and like I said, there's a bunch of them. They're all in Kindle Unlimited. Very, very bingeable, very fast. This is kind of like that old show revamp we had of 90210, but like in college. So this is set in Florida. So you get the summer vibes there, because even though it happens during the school year, they also like go on spring break trips. But I think because it takes place in Florida, you know, if you lived in Florida, you know, it's summer all year round. So either way, they're like at the beach all the time, parties, you know, whatever. What makes this so bingeable is in every single book, you get like all the characters' points of view. So it's not just like, oh, this book is about this couple, this book is about this couple. No, you get, there's like so many people in the friend group, and then in each book you get new characters added, because it's around like a sorority and a fraternity and kind of like the connections between the two. So there's plenty of characters to keep you invested. It really is like a TV show, because you know how in most TV shows there's always like at least 3 plot lines going on in every episode. It's kind of like that. It's like each book is like its own season, and each chapter is its own episode. Like it's really cool the way that she wrote it. I don't know why I don't see more people talking about this, because Candy Steiner's a pretty popular author, and I think a lot of her other books are super big right now, but this is still probably my favorite series by her, just because it's so bingeable. You really get invested in the characters. The setting is fun, but there's also some like hard things that the characters go through. Like it's real life that they're going through. You know, it's not just all about the parties. It's like some other struggles too. of, you know, what it's like in your early 20s, or even when you're only like 18, 19, you know, just trying to like navigate being an adult, learning about yourself, learning about your love life and what you need in a partner and what you want from your friends. You know, like it's very like coming of age, but like in a dramatic TV show that's like funny but also emotional and also spicy. It's like literally everything all wrapped in a pretty bow. So this definitely needs to be on your summer TBR, because it will get you invested into a whole series and it'll keep you entertained for a very long time. Alright, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you're able to add some of these to your summer TBR this year. Give this video a like and leave a comment down below telling me what book you want to read this summer. Be sure to subscribe to this video so you can see what books I plan to read during this summer season. And I'll see you next time. Bye.